One Zambia, One Nation. Welcome to this edition of Zanis News. I'm your presenter, Sarah Miti. We take a look at the stories that made headlines. Ndola City Council gives ultimatum to street vendors. Masaitis Mpolavoshi residents in need of maternity wing. Trial at project performance impresses government. And Northwest Minister calls for transparency in FISIP distribution. Zanis News in detail. Ndola City Council has given street vendors up to 28 July 2023 to relocate to the over 2,500 vacant market spaces in the district. Council Town Clerk Sheila Songolo says the vendors should move to the markets as street vending poses a health hazard. Mrs. Songolo was speaking at a consultative meeting with street vendors and other stakeholders following government's directive to remove street vendors from the central business district. Mary Shola now reports.
Following a directive from local government and rural development to remove street vending from central business district in the country, the local authorities in Ndola decided to hold a consultative meeting with stakeholders. The town clerk took time to explain the importance of vendors to trade from market shelters.
We need to stay where we are trading from. We need sanitary conditions. We need water. We need ablution blocks. Our concern is, in the absence of these facilities, how are our traders managing? How are our traders managing on the streets? It's very hard. Two, the safety. Where we are seated in the roads, we are not safe.
Director Planning and Housing revealed statistics of available market spaces in the district.
Isi ama vacant positions mota watu bashitisha 2,580.
Available trading spaces about 2,580 in all the markets.
2,580.
The mayor took note of the concerns but stressed that Friday, July 28, 2023 is the last day for traders to work on the streets.
The position is that Friday, if people ever trade, Friday it should be a time to clean up so that Saturday the town is cleaned. And it is an instruction given to us and yourselves. Over time, vendors have been growing. It means that we've not provided abantu pakubombera or twalikwa tomulekeresha tuleya tulekulafi. If we don't manage it now, amaina batata in future, because everyone wants to survive. Twalakwa tobwafya.
To avoid aggressive battles between the street vendors and men in uniform, Ndola City Council in the consultative meeting asked traders to leave the streets to have a clean city. Mary Chola for Zanis in Ndola.
And Barrick Lumwana Mine is the platinum sponsor of this year's 95th Agriculture and Commercial Show with a donation of 450,000 kwacha. And the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, has also donated a total of 370,000 kwacha towards the hosting of the Agriculture Show, which opens its doors to the public from the 2nd to the 7th of August 2023. Jane Simalumba has the details.
With only a few days remaining before the gates to the 95th Agriculture and Commercial Show opens to the public, different stakeholders have continued to come on board to sponsor the event. Barrick Lumwana Mine has become the platinum sponsor of the show following their donation of 450,000 kwacha.
This is an affirmation of the consistent support we have extended to the Show Society. We have been very consistent in sponsoring the Vice President's luncheon. So this year we are just taking it up a notch to go and sponsor the presidential luncheon. So we are hoping that this will affirm our support to the Show Society.
The Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, is the gold sponsor of the Agriculture and Commercial Show as a result of the donation of 370,000 kwacha.
And one of the strategies that we've used, even as we look at the sponsorship that we have given to the Show Society, is we want to tap into the grassroots. We are sponsoring about 400 majorates, and these majorates have also been given tax messages. These are messages that remind them of the importance of paying taxes. So during this show, we want to capture all categories or classes of taxpayers, both existing and potential taxpayers, so that together as a nation, we can contribute, to the national treasury. We can all contribute to the building of a better Zambia. I think it has been said in different forums where the Republican president.
The Show Society is hopeful that these donations will help in the successful hosting of the 2023 event.
Undoubtedly, there will be a lot of sales and transaction within these 6 days, which will lead to more taxes to be paid. Country manager, undoubtedly, there will be a lot of business interaction within these 6 days, which will lead, we believe, to more exposure of your operations.
The 95th Agriculture and Commercial Show will be held under the theme Inclusive Economic Transformation. Jane Simalumba Zanis in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, ZAPID, in Northwestern Province, has extolled government for considering persons with mild and moderate disabilities on the Social Cash Transfer Program. ZAPID Provincial Assistant Coordinator Simona Mubiana says only those with severe disability were previously considered on the program. Hemeti Sichilonde now reports.
Only those that were severely disabled were previously considered on Social Cash Transfer Program. But the current government has decided to also consider even those living with mild and moderate disabilities on the program. This has been received well by the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, ZAPID, in Northwestern Province.
Mainly in the past, they were just considering the severely disabled. Okay, but this time around, the new government says even the mild and the moderate are supposed to be considered on social cash transfer.
Meanwhile, ZAPID Northwestern Province Coordinator Simona Mubiana advised ward development committees, WDCs, as well as the general public in Northwestern Province.
Focus more on the degree of disability. If it's moderate, and then the person is saying, I want to be getting 800 kwacha, explain to them clearly as a community leader that for you who are moderate and the mild, you are supposed to be getting 400 kwacha. There are these conflicts.
The beneficiaries expresses happiness.
This is something that was not available to us in the past, but with the coming on of the new Dawn government, as we have seen that at least even us, we are able to benefit.
Sometimes back I used to struggle for me to have food too, but for a while I'm living, my living is fine, I'm sustaining it, yes.
Reporting for Zanis in Solwezi District, Northwestern Province, I am Hemit Hachilonde.
Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu has commended the Ministry of Health for introducing sign language interpreters in some health facilities of the district. Ms. Zulu says the move will ease communication between health service providers and the hearing impaired in provision of equitable access to quality healthcare services. Michelle Omwemba brings us this report.
Communication between the deaf and dumb has always been a challenge in most families in society. Having completed a training in nursing and hoping to be employed in the next recruitment, Ellen Ndlovu, who is volunteering as a sign language interpreter at Chilenje Level 1 Hospital, explains how she overcame the communication barrier with her parents who are both deaf.
My mom and my dad are deaf, so it was really a challenge to communicate with them because even going at the hospital, you find that there's no one to communicate with. My mom is a businesswoman, so even at where she was doing business, it was very difficult for her to communicate with her customers. So sign language has really helped me to reach out and help out other deaf people as well, not only my parents.
This challenge of communication with the deaf society has not spared the health sector in many health facilities. To curb this challenge, government through the Ministry of Health, working with Maristops, Zambia Association for People Living with Disabilities, and the Deaf Society, has introduced a program where health workers from Chilenje, Kanyama, and Chawama Level 1 hospitals are being trained in sign language communication and interpretation at Chilenje Level 1 Hospital in Lusaka District.
A number of healthcare workers have been trained. That includes nurses, clinical officers, pharmacy personnel, lab and registry personnel. Our role right now is to actually go out and sensitize the members of the Deaf Society to say that now the community can come and access the services freely, and they are going to find health personnel who can adequately communicate with them.
Lusaka District's commissioner was impressed at the progress being made by the health workers who are undergoing the training in this program.
I'm happy that this is starting in the Lusaka District, and I'm telling you, I've seen wonders. This one, I think we need to introduce in each and every clinic, hospital. The lady is trained as a nurse. She's not yet deployed, but we'll see how best we can help her in order for her to help other people outside there.
The sign language program in health facilities is expected to be rolled out in Lusaka, Copperbelt, and Eastern provinces. Mijelo Mwemba reporting for Zanis in Lusaka.
We take our first break, and when we come back, Masaiti's Mpulabushi residents in need of maternity wing. Stay tuned.
For news and current affairs, entertainment, sports, children's programs, and a host of other events in and beyond our borders, Zanis TV has you covered. On Channel 6 and Channel 458 on Topstar.
Welcome back. In health news, residents of Mpulabushi area in Katonte ward in Masaiti district have bemoaned a lack of maternity wing. Expectant mothers walk over 10 kilometers to the nearest health facility to access maternity services. Nkwachi Chanda brings us this report.
Having a maternity wing nearby is important as it helps women to have healthy pregnancies and safe deliveries. But with the women of Mpulabushi in Katonte ward in Masaiti district, the story is different as the only health post in the area does not offer maternal services.
Twaikala nangu 1 week nemwe shula shira katishwa kwa filimu kapa kuiviwa ona tulalanga lukati kulana kwa wakati pangire kwa chimadha shao tanga pintu wapangire okatongi na kwa tu abantu ba papira na mushira mu manganda so tachiboneka kuba limbi ashu kwa mulapa washira afu limbi china mala chaka no kupona afu so kani paliko ebyo fingangu kako kulibana mai.
Officer in charge of Mpulabushi Health Post explained the challenges the clinic is facing.
It was opened in 2021. Ever since it was opened, it has been operating without water. We don't have a borehole. We also have a challenge with the staff house, and this has led to the facility not offering maternal and child health services. For example, labor ward and also MCH. So pregnant women, they are forced to go to just travel long distances to other facilities where there is those services, the labor ward services, and also the maternal and the child health services. So if we can be helped with the staff house and also we can also be helped with the water. It can really improve the healthcare services that we deliver to the community.
It is only hoped that the plea of the people of Mpulabushi shall be heard for them to access maternal services closer to their homes. Mkwachi Chanda, Zanis, Masaiti District, Copperbelt Province.
And on the education segment, government has held campaign for female education, CAMFED's continued support through provision of quality education. Minister of Education Douglas Siakalima says CAMFED's bursary program to vulnerable school-going children has supplemented the implementation of the free education policy. He said this in a speech read for him by Ministry of Education Early Childhood Education Director Cham Kalimbika at the CAMFED International Regional Development Center regional meeting for Tanzania, Zambia and Zimbabwe in Chongwe District. Wupe Sendwe brings us this report.
Gender disparities continue to persist in many sectors, among them access to education, especially for the girl child. In order to improve the gender parity in the education system, Campaign for Female Education, CAMFED, is hosting a 2-day regional engagement with government partners in Tanzania, Zambia and Zimbabwe to share information on how marginalized girls can benefit from the promising approaches that help them remain in school. And government was represented by the Ministry of Education.
The Renegade program is a model that supports vulnerable girls to navigate barriers that impede their completion of secondary education. This model is of great interest to the Ministry of Education as we implement the Education for All free education policy.
CAMFED Learning and Engagement Executive Director explains the meeting with government partners to integrate the Learner's Guide program into the government system.
So CAMFED is leading this engagement with the government, as the title of this meeting is Engagement with Government Partners in Tanzania, Zambia and Zimbabwe, moving to integration, ownership of the Learner Guide program into the government system. So as an organization, we are coordinating to bring together the government and the other partners to engage so that we can see how we can be able to have this program integrated or embedded within the government systems.
The 3 countries shared insights and experiences of the Learner Guide programs from their respective individual countries.
Yet, since 2013, we have trained, as CAMFED Zimbabwe, 9,320 learner guides across our 28 partner districts.
Currently, we are implementing this program in Tanzania in 10 regions, reaching out 33 districts and 466 secondary schools, government secondary schools.
The 5 districts, we've grown to 49 districts across Zambia, in the 5 provinces where we are working, and so far we are in 692 schools.
The regional meeting is part of the International Development Research Center, IDRC research project, aimed at scaling a youth-led social support and mentorship program to improve quality education for marginalized girls in Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Wupe Sendo for Zanis in Chongwe.
Still in education, teachers at Chipindani Primary School in Rufunsa District have commended government for the construction of a classroom block using the Constituency Development Fund CDF. The school has also seen the completion of another classroom block which had stalled since 2020. Ntembe Musekiwa brings us this report.
This is Chipindani Primary School in Rufunsa District of Lusaka Province, where more than 200 pupils are using one classroom while others are learning under the tree. But very soon, through the Constituency Development Fund, this thing will be a thing of the past, as government is putting up a 1x3 classroom block and 3 double modern toilets at a cost of 1,131,000 kwacha. Teachers at the school are happy with this development.
We are very much grateful to the government for this 1x3 classroom block under CDF. Recently, we had just one class here and we have 285 learners using one classroom. From ECE to grade 6. So it was a challenge. We are really grateful to the government for the classroom.
It's a challenge here because every time when we're teaching outside, when the wind is blowing, we've got a lot of mpese in our bodies, whereby the pupils can't even learn properly when the wind is blowing too much. So we are very grateful to the government for giving us the 1x3 block.
In Chintibwe ward, government has also funded the completion of a 1x2 classroom block at Kamwesha Primary School to the delight of both parents and pupils.
Tiamika government kutimangirako skulu ndatenze kuingira mu skulu na kuchaichika nonga ziko mu kutimangirako skulu na kufitina mangi
tiamikira boma potithandizira munga klasi kwa popanda boma otithandizira asembe kulibe klasi ya choncho apa manje ioneka kuti iyenda kumalasi so tiamikira maningi chamene boma yatichitira munga kuno kuma rural area.
The increase of the Constituency Development Fund CDF from the previous 1.6 million kwacha to the 25.7 million kwacha in the 2022 allocation has benefited Rufunsa district through the completion of some projects that had stalled and also in the implementation of new projects that are enhancing development in the district. Musekiwa Ntembe, reporting for Zanis in Rufunsa district.
In a related story, Namwala District Commissioner Ephraim Shandavu has thanked Forest Creates Future organization for supporting the construction of 2 ablution blocks at Lubanga Shabongwe Primary School. The ablution blocks were built at a cost of 700,000 kwacha. We have more in this report by Wailinda Piri.
Good sanitation is one of the key amenities in any learning environment, as it promotes regular school attendance among learners, especially the girls. At Luanga Shabongwe Primary School, a German-based organization dubbed Forest Creates Future has completed the construction of 2 ablution blocks with waterborne toilets.
Glad that today we are handing over these 2 ablution blocks to the government. Guest of honor, these 2 ablution blocks have costed about 720,000 kwacha.
This development is in line with the presidential directive of ensuring that all schools have waterborne toilets.
The known fact that His Excellency, the Republican President of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, attaches greater importance to education as seen in the educational reforms he made since he assumed office in the year 2020.
This is a positive response to the presidential directive that all schools should have waterborne toilets.
Parents are happy that learners will use clean and safe sanitation facilities at the school.
Guest of honor, on behalf of parents, we are indeed delighted to be associated with this great occasion. The handing over of 2 ablution blocks to the school from the Forest Creates Future NGO from Germany. As parents, we are now confident that the sanitation of our children in the school is safe and secure.
For Zanis, I'm Wailinda Piri, reporting in Namwala District of Southern.
More in the news, Muchinga is one of the provinces implementing the Transforming Landscapes for Resilience and Development triad project aimed at promoting diversified and sustainable livelihoods. Ministry of Green Economy and Environment Permanent Secretary Daud Chibamba has expressed delight that the project is yielding positive results in transforming people's lives. Details in this report.
He is in Muchinga province to appreciate the implementation of Transforming Landscapes for Resilience and Development Trallied project. Ministry of Green Economy and Environment Permanent Secretary Daut Chibamba, who paid a courtesy call on the provincial administration, says he is impressed with the zeal to preserve forest by some community forest management groups.
We did visit the housing units at Labushimanda National Park. That project also was properly executed. Of course, there are small issues that they need to repair. Kaloso is the best. It's a very good example. There we found local community that is very passionate to protect the trees. And this is why I'm saying for us in this project, we need to up the numbers on community forest management groups, on honorary forest guards.
And Muchinga Province Deputy Permanent Secretary, Reverend Matthews Chilekwa, appealed to the PS to ensure more forest ranger guides are employed.
To say that it's a committed team. Now we have seen them going around. I think you are able to tell by yourself because you have seen vividly what they have been doing on the ground. The challenge that we have in the province may be our forest officers. Maybe just have a good number of forest officers.
Later, Muchinga Province Trallied Project Operations Officer Catherine Sakala shared some of the challenges faced in the implementation of Trallied projects in Muchinga Province.
So in terms of access, it's gravel road, and during the rainy season we really do struggle to get to some of these areas because some of them actually get cut off. So as a result, what that means is in terms of project implementation, we only have a short window to be able to do that. Also, the project is being under the districts implemented or is embedded in the councils. And some of the issues that we have had as a result of the staff tenure.
Pamela Inamba reporting for Zanis in Chinsali, Muchinga Province.
We continue with the news. Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Paul Tole has called on farmers to plant good seed varieties capable of fighting climate change. Mr. Tole says government is working with various stakeholders in conducting research so as to come up with better seed varieties which will yield good harvests. Here are the details.
Climate change continues to impact on agriculture production, and this has resulted in poor crop yields which are threatening food security among some communities. Now, government has taken measures to mitigate the impact of climate change, and Eastern Province is a beneficiary of such initiatives. Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Paul Tole has highlighted some of these measures at a field day held in Chieftains Mwanjabantus area in Petauke.
I would like to commend the farmers for showing resilience as they carry out their work to produce food in our province and the country at large. There are also means of adapting and building resilience in agricultural and food security systems in the country. The weather has become increasingly variable in the past few decades with late onset of rainfall, droughts, flash floods, and extreme temperatures occurring with increasing frequency.
Chief Mazimawe was also present.
It starts with the right seed. Chuyamba na mbeu yoyenerera. Tiende na mbeu zamene zakutika wanafunso mayankho aliko tiyankha. Mawanyinji paliye tungo toko za onse.
And Christine Daka received recognition for planting climate-smart seed varieties and harvesting more than 3,500 bags of maize.
Traiza kufunika vambili tung'ono chabe paka pendero chabe mwatola kavalo kapa drinki mwaikako tumawaya mwapanga katini kaspuni kuti paka nchara kali konse kapendero kamene kaja muzaona ololi mlibe fertilizer ambili awe muzakolola one day nalimako kopanda fertilizer kwinango inaperevera but sichumo nakolola malinga mwashanga cha best spacing ya bwina.
Sylvester Shimba for Zanis in Petauke District, Eastern Province.
And the district administration in Mpulungu has urged farmers in the district to reserve enough maize for household food security. Mpulungu District Commissioner Gerhard Sikazwe said people should not sell all their farm produce to the Food Reserve Agency, FRA. Mr. Sikaze said although FRA has increased the price of maize, it should not tempt farmers to sell all their produce. He said this when he addressed farmers at Mpulungu Boarding Secondary School. FRA is buying maize at 280 kwacha per 50 kilogram bag, an increase from 180 kwacha per 50 kilogram bag last year.
Government of the Republic of Zambia had doubled price of maize crops 280. So 280 yo abengi mwala mona bala filo nokulala bwino bantu nashifurishanyuka because agriculture now has become business. No mechala tuipaya nichimwe mwala shitisha mataba yonse ilo twashitisha twibukishokwe bati bifetu alalenga ngeni umutengo wabunga unine pamuno tulemilomba kokwe bati muishitisha fyonse kuefwalae muishitisha fyonse kuma briefcase buyers tiye bitushitishe fimo tusunge mu mayanda bakwe bati tube ng'abantu abamukinshi abakindama yonse efyakulya ninshi natukwata pamayanda.
Still ahead in the news, Northwest Minister calls for transparency in FISIP distribution. We take our last break.
For news and current affairs, entertainment, sports, children's programs, and a host of other events in and beyond our borders, Zanis TV has you covered. On Channel 6 and Channel 458 on Topstar.
Welcome back. Northwestern Province Minister Robert Lihefu has implored agriculture officers in the region to be transparent in the distribution of farming inputs for the 2023-2024 farming season. Mr. Lihefu says government is determined to ensure that inputs are delivered on time to enable farmers plant their fields early. From the district, Onishas Mamba now reports.
This is part of the compound fertilizer that has been delivered to Northwestern Province ahead of the 2023-2024 farming season. Northwestern Province Minister Robert Lihefu says this demonstrates the government's commitment to ensure farming inputs are delivered to farmers on time. Mr. Lihefu has called on officers in the Ministry of Agriculture to uphold transparency once the distribution exercise commences.
To my officers in the Ministry of Agriculture, let me slightly warn you. Let us be transparent. Give the farming inputs to your farmers in a transparent manner. If the farming inputs will miss, you'll be the enemy of the people of Northwestern Province. You'll be the enemy of the people of this country, Zambia.
Mr. Lihefu has warned that selling of farming inputs by beneficiary farmers will not be condoned.
Allow me to take this moment to request the traditional leaders present to ensure that as farmers correct the farming inputs, strict measures should be put in place to ensure that farmers do not resell the inputs that they receive from government.
And Chief Kizela of the Kaonde people of Mufumbwe district wants the number of FISIP beneficiaries in his chiefdom to be increased.
We are a region which this government should reckon with by increasing the number of beneficiaries on the FISIP program as well as food security package. I appreciate the efforts made by the New Dawn government to increase the floor price of maize by food reserve watches from 180 to 280 watches.
For Zanis News, I am Onishas Mamba in Mufumbwe District, Northwestern Province.
In other news, Central Province Minister Credo Nanjua has expressed concern on boundary misunderstandings between Lusaka and Chibombo districts. And Lusaka Province Minister Shio Muliata, who was represented by Provincial Permanent Secretary Robert Kamalata, has appealed to surveyors to provide the country with accurate information on the boundary between the two districts. Daniel Billy reports that the two ministers said this at a stakeholders consultative meeting in Chunga ward of Chibombo district.
The provincial administration in Central Province is concerned that investors and developers of housing units in Chunga area of Chiwambo district are directing their property tax and rates into Lusaka province. Central Province Minister Credo Nanjua feels the confusion can create a conflict and wants the issue to be normalized.
When it came to our attention that there are investors and also those developers of house units in this area, they are directing their property tax rates into Lusaka province, I think we got consent. We are mindful that boundaries can create confusion, can create conflicts.
Lusaka Province Minister Sheu Muriata, who was represented by Permanent Secretary Robert Kamalata, wants surveyors to provide accurate information.
Don't be mixing things. Don't be mixing traditional boundaries and district boundaries. To give you a very good example, I have in my province His Royal Highness Chief Bundabunda. He's both in Rufunsa and Chombo. So those boundaries are different from district boundaries. Recently we were looking at that because you people, the surveyors, you are not giving us the accurate information. You are basing your argument on traditional boundaries or district boundaries. Those are two.
And the former Katuba Member of Parliament, Jonas Shakafuswa, has charged that there has been no consent from the people of Chiwambo to allow the boundaries to be moved.
No, as it stands, when you want to extend the borders of a district, if it's Chiwambo which wants to expand into Lusaka, you have to have consent of the people of Lusaka saying, yes, we've allowed this district to extend its borders into our district. As it stands, with some extension into Chibombo, there's never been consent from the people of Chibombo nor the council to say, Lusaka, you extend into our district. And this is the thing which is raising these conflicts.
The traditional leadership is equally concerned.
The eastern side of the area. The Royal Highness starts from Kabanana town. Or from the eastern side is the villages for chieftains. Our Royal Highness is troubled that most of the people around here in this area, they're saying they're coming from Lusaka.
Daniel Billy, Zanis News, in Chiwambo, Central Province.
And that item brings us to the end of the news. As we end the news, we take a look at the headlines again. Ndola City Council gives ultimatum to street vendors. Masaitis Mpolavoshi residents in need of maternity wing. Trialed projects performance impresses government. And Northwest Minister calls for transparency in FISIP distribution. That is all we had for you in this edition of Zanis News. Be sure to join us next time. On behalf of the entire Zanis News production team, I'm Sarah Miti. Pleasant viewing.